Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of my videos. Today we're not looking at one puzzle, not even two puzzles. We're looking at 3 different puzzles today. So let's have a look at all of them individually. As always, make sure you like, subscribe and comment below if you manage to solve any of them. Okay, let's have a look at the first puzzle. Now, I should start by saying apologies for not uploading yesterday. As I said at the start of this puzzle challenge, where I'm going to be trying to do a different puzzle every single day, that I might not always get a chance or time to be able to do it every single day. And yesterday I had a good reason why I wasn't able to do it, as I was playing in a rapid play tournament not too far away from where I live. So, you know, to be fair, that's a pretty good reason not to upload a video. I was quite tired after I played in it, and I didn't really fancy making a video yesterday as because of it. So anyway, here's puzzle number 13, day 13. Very unlucky, but here we go. So this particular one is interesting because you've got white here with quite a lot of pieces surrounding the black king. The black king has actually got no legal squares that it can go to at this moment. Now, I failed this particular puzzle, and I failed it because I thought that maybe there might be some strong forcing moves here. And I had a look at the move knight to e8 with this idea that if, let's say, the knight were to recapture, then bishop check, and it's going to be a mate in 2. So just to show you that the bishop and the knight working together really well. The problem is, and I did try and calculate it, but I couldn't quite see to the end of the line, is what happens after the bishop comes here. The problem is for white, even though he's got quite like a barrage of different checks here, it doesn't matter, as eventually the black king is going to get out of it. You look at this position and, well, it's going to not be a checkmate here. In fact, white is just down a lot of material, and black is going to be able to slowly but surely stabilize his position. So going back to our original position then, the move here that is very instructive because it sets up a very powerful threat, and that's to combine this knight and bishop move together with the move bishop to c4. This has a simple threat of double checkmate with the knight and bishop combination hitting this king, and there's nothing really that black can do in this position. Let's just say, for example, he tries to maybe move a knight over here, maybe trying to block one of these threats. The problem is both knight to e7 and f6 end up in double checkmate. So this is a very nice instructive checkmate. The pawn, by the way, can't capture because the bishop is attacking it, and this is something you should always think about. If you can ever get double checkmates over the board, they are the most powerful checkmates possible, because you can't react to either threats, and the black knight can't take this bishop because it's still check from the knight. So if you ever get those positions, try and make sure you can try and apply them to your games. Other moves that don't work here, let's say this knight comes over here as well. Again, there's just this capture here and also works. Now, black can be quite stubborn in this position. Let's say, for example, he might play the move g6, and this creates a little escape square for the black king. Against this, though, there is still check. The king moves up to g7, and a very, very nice ending here to this one, knight to e8 checkmate. Very good, as the two knights are working together to checkmate the black king. One more solution to look at, maybe if you do bishop to e7 at this point, again creating a little escape square for the king to try and run down to. Once again, fails to this very nice instructive checkmate. After this move, bishop to f7 works here. Oh, very nice, very nice. And I should also mention, what about a move like rook here as well, because hey, look, that creates another escape square for the king to run down to. Doesn't matter though, check, king comes here, and actually you have a beautiful, oh, so nice, so beautiful, these checkmates. So there we go. So that's the first puzzle. Let's have a look at puzzle number 14 of the day. Okay, so here we are with a really instructive study to show you. So this particular one is called Check the Queen's Blind Spot. Now it's day 14, it's a Sunday, so that means it is the study Sunday. These are the really challenging, very difficult puzzles, the daily puzzles that chess.com release on Sunday. So if you struggle with this one, don't panic, as most people do find this one particularly hard, or do find this particular puzzle quite challenging. So here is the position. Firstly, I should mention that this particular puzzle is composed by Mators. Really interesting composer, Mators. I would definitely recommend that you look into the life of this particular composer. He had a very troubled upbringing. In fact, he was imprisoned and sent to, I think, a re-education school when he was very young, which is very sad to hear about that particular thing. But he found chess as a way to kind of escape that early trauma, and well, you can see he's been able to produce these very complex, very interesting puzzles. Now, what's first thing I would mention about this particular puzzle is these two pawns here are very important. Now, you might not think these two pawns are important, but if you take them off the board, imagine that they don't exist, then this particular puzzle is always going to end in a draw. White does not have enough firepower to be able to checkmate the black king here, and the queen will be able to guard against the threat of checkmate and one by just moving around the board and stopping all of the threats from the rook. So I think that's quite interesting, quite instructive to mention that these two pawns are extremely important for us to be able to solve this particular solution. So what can I say? Well, the first thing I would say about this is if this white rook can get onto either the first rank or the H file, it is going to be checkmate. Okay, so you need to try and find the best way to access that particular point in black's defences. The problem is this black queen has got so much mobility, it should be able to guard against all these particular threats. But it's interesting that white has got this really good knight because it controls quite a lot of the different squares towards our white king, which I think is quite fascinating. So what can we do first? Well, let's first explore the second rank here. Now, we can obviously discount a move like rook to d2. That's obviously going to be met with just the queen sacrificing itself. And I think this is quite an important moment here to realise that this will end in a clear draw. The point being, after the knight captures, you're not going to be able to checkmate with just a single knight against a white, against a king, because even if you take these two pawns, it's not going to end in a checkmate with a king and a knight. So this will end in a draw. Also, rook coming to e2 doesn't work as well. Black has got a very simple continuation. Queen to e3 with check. The point being, you have to take back with the rook, and after this, then you've got this liquidizing position. Again, if you move this king away, then you're going to be actually losing this particular position now, as the queen is much more powerful than the knight, and it'll be a simple checkmate very soon. So going back then to our initial position, so what else works in this position? Well, you might try maybe rook to b2 or rook to a2, and this looks like it should work. With rook to a2, this looks like, okay, maybe coming over to this file, and maybe I'm also threatening to come over to a8 to maybe deliver some checks over here. So it looks like it should work. The problem is black has got one defense here, which is queen to c1. The point of it is this: if, let's say, you first move the king up, which does threaten checkmate in one over here, black has got the move queen to c7 with check. Okay, now the king might go back to f2, and in which case then it comes back to c1, and it doesn't matter what white does here. If, let's say, he moves the rook up to a8, for example, threatening, oh, I'm going to go over here and over here, then black has got the move queen to c2. And what's instructive about this is after the king moves up, you can then either come to, I think, oh, actually, no, you do have to come here. So queen, well, I wonder why that doesn't work, actually. It does lead to a draw, though. I was thinking, actually, well, I don't know why this works, but there's actually a winning move here, which is queen to g6 check. And after the king, let's say, moves back to f2, then you can come down here And this is quite instructive, as after the king moves away, he actually can't stay next to the rook. Sorry, apologies, stay next to knight. And because now you can take this this knight now. And this is winning now for black here. So both of those moves don't work because of similar reasons. Black has got enough moves to be able to stop these threats. So we now need to look at what happens up this file. Well, we can discount this move. And, well, this move also doesn't work either because of, obviously, this problem here. These moves don't make sense because of this. Oh, I also should mention this pawn can capture here as well. Over here doesn't quite work either. It's not really threatening anything. I'm curious to see what would be the best way to draw this. Yeah, so something like this, and then king up here. And oh, that's actually quite fascinating. So you can do that. And after the rook captures here, then you've got a checking move like this, and black is going to be able to hold this to a draw. So really the only two candidate moves here should be the move rook to c6, rook to c8. Obviously can't come here because of the queen, so we need to analyze these two. Now I was thankful I managed to get the solution for this on the first move, and I played the move rook to c6, but it's important to mention why rook to c8 doesn't work in this position. Black has got some really stubborn tries here, and mainly it's to do with this queen being able to check this white rook. It should be mentioned, and it's said in the solution notes from Dane, that why d3 doesn't work in this position. Well, what happens here is this rook comes over, and essentially this will end in an easy win. So we can't push this pawn. And I think there was one other move that didn't quite work in this position. I think, that was right, it was queen to h8, which does look like it guards these two squares. The problem here is now rook to a8 is a very powerful move, and it doesn't matter what black does, he can try and throw in these checks. Eventually he's going to lose this position because this white knight guards now all of the checking squares for this black queen, and there's no way to stop either threat now. You're either going to come over here, and black has got no way to get onto this diagonal to stop both of these threats. There's a really interesting solution, that particular one. So, but it fails, interestingly, to queen to e3 check. Point being, the rook king has to come up here, and now you can come to h6. This guards this threat, it guards this particular threat, and well, white cannot make any progress here. He might come to a8, threatening this idea once again, but this time round the black queen is primed to be able to deliver lots of checks. King comes to f2, you can now deliver this nasty check once again, winning this knight. So we need to come up with something even more forcing than the continuation that we looked at, and that is why rook to c6 is the best move in this position, and the only winning move, interestingly. So what can white do in this position? Well, one interesting try is the move d3, and white needs to be a little bit careful, as there's only one way that he actually wins in this position. Now d3 is an interesting try because it opens up this potential diagonal now to the black queen. If this black queen can get on this diagonal, it's going to be a simple win. So I say win, it's going to be a simple draw for black. So white might try, okay, let's go over to a6, seems logical. I'm attacking both of these squares. The problem is now there is a check here, and black is guarding all threats. Okay, king comes up to g2, you can then throw in this check over here. Okay, black queen comes over here. You've now got all of these checking squares available now to be able to stop these checkmates. Doesn't matter if the king comes over here, you can just keep checking over there. So quite instructive, quite interesting, that particular resource for black. So instead, white has to move rook to c8. This still threatens these two ideas, and well, it doesn't matter what black does in this position. Let's say he comes over to h6, then you can easily win with the move rook to b1, threatening this checkmate in one idea. Okay, there might be a check here or two, but this is just going to end very simply with this checkmate. And there's not really anything else that black can do in this position. He can't guard both this and also guard this particular square at once. Let's just say, well, I mean, yeah, there's nothing really he can do. He can't even come to this square, which might guard this because this pawn is in the way. And I should also mention if d2 is then played here, which does threaten to come to this square, it doesn't matter as this rook can come over once again and deliver a nice straightforward checkmate. Okay, so going back to our initial position. So d3 is one try that doesn't quite work. White has got enough resources here to be able to work against that particular move. So I believe in the solution notes it gives the move queen to e3 check. Now the king can come up to g3, pretty much 4. So now d3 can be played, which again tries to open up this diagonal for this black queen to come onto. And this is again a really instructive moment. Now thankfully I found the move here to come to a8, but I was maybe thinking about what happens after c8 here, and I had to kind of almost coin flip as to which move was the correct one. This move doesn't work, because interestingly, queen can come over to h6, trying to gain access to this particular square. Notice that it's still guarding the c1 and then h8 square. So it doesn't matter what black rook does, it can come over to a8 trying to threaten this idea. Well, we just come to g7, and what's so fascinating is with this pawn moved, this now gets rid of this blind spot that black had in this position. In fact, actually now he's winning this line, as after moves such as this, you can do a move like this, and actually this is leading to a winning position. Just to show you very quickly, let's say, oh, king to g2, yeah, that seems interesting. And even if you've got this check, doesn't matter. King comes over, it's a win now for black in this position. So, going back, so I made that mistake after I came to a6, sorry. I believe in the solution notes it gives the move, oh sorry, it does d3, that was right, and then I came over to a6, and after, let's say, a move like queen to c1, here I played the instructive mistake. I played the move rook to a8, thinking, okay, this seems pretty good. I'm attacking both of these squares. What I missed, however, is this check. This check saves black in this position, as now after the king comes to f2, you have then got some more checks over here, and there's no way to evade all of these different ideas. This queen now moves forward to d6, king comes over here, and well, you're just going to keep trying to make a little bit of progress each time with each check that you throw in here. And now after a move like this, now this is losing now for black. He's got a move such as check, and let's say it comes over here. Let's see, how do I make progress? Go to this square, rook king comes here, another check. And okay, well the point I want to make here is that this queen can now access this diagonal. It's going to at least end in a draw, but it's still fascinating as this actually now wins here for black, for white after a few moves. So anyway, going back to our initial position. So that was the mistake I made in this position by coming to this square. In fact, the only winning move here is rook to a7, attacking both of these squares. And again, what I think is fascinating about this is you're attacking on two different colours, and black cannot physically get over to those two different coloured diagonals. If and even if it comes over to, let's say, b1, this would normally stop this threat. But the problem is with this pawn being here, he can't come over to h7 to stop this threat. So this would be a simple checkmate threat over here. So whatever black does, he might just throw in a barrage of checks here at this point. So something like, for example, well, let's say, well, I think all the checks are pretty much pointless, as this knight controls so many of them and the king controls over here. But let's say he comes to h6, trying to stop this mate threat over here. Well, the rook comes over here. I think this was the actual solution, and the queen comes here, and you're able to deliver a checkmate there. Really hard study, Really interesting. Lots of different things, lots of different blind spot things, and lots of different variations to have a look at that one. But I hope you found it instructive. Apologies if maybe I found it a little bit you found it a little bit confusing going through it, but I would suggest have a look at it yourself and study some of the variations that make this particular line so fascinating. Whew, well, I'm sure that last puzzle was very, very tricky. But okay, here's a little bit of an easy one. I say it's an easy one. This is the American Chess Magazine one. White to move, checkmate in only 2 moves. So see if you can solve this one. This comes from another composer called Ackerblom. It won a 3rd place honourable mention. This particular one if you're interested. So it's white to move, stipulation, and it's checkmate in only 2 moves. So let's have a look at this puzzle together. So white is clearly winning, let's be honest with you. And I had a comment about this, by the way, when you're solving these compositions, you think, well, yeah, but one side's like completely winning. But that's not the point. The point of these is to explore beauty around chess, not necessarily about improving or wanting to get better at the game. This is just about, okay, I want to try and find the nice study, look at the coordination of our pieces, calculating as well. This is what it trains really, rather than necessarily practical chess moves, if that makes sense. Okay. Right, let's go through, now I've had that weird little rant, let's go through the solution. Now, the tricky bit with this particular puzzle in trying to solve it is there's not so many obvious ways that white can access black's position. He might try and throw in a check here, but black has always got this blocking move. And okay, you might be able to capture here, but we're not going to be able to checkmate in 2 moves. This will end in a mate in 4, but it's not going to be a checkmate in 2. I'm not interested in those particular solutions. And other moves that don't quite work, okay, you might try this check, but the king comes forward and there is no checkmate to be seen. Other moves that don't quite work in this position, other checks I should mention. Let's say you want to try and come over to h5. Well, here the king can come to f8. It's quite instructive. There's no checkmate solution because black can just sacrifice his rook, and even if you throw in this check, the black rook can block, delaying the mate by 1 move. So we get checkmate in 3, but we're not going to get checkmate in 2. So once you've exhausted a lot of these moves, I should mention one more actually, is this move here that looks tempting, because if the rook comes over, you've obviously got this checkmate. The problem here is black once again has got king to f8, and this is just stopping these checkmate. All these little things here are just frustrating black in trying to find the best move in this position. So once you've explored some of those moves, you'll then start to look at maybe some of the important waiting moves. Now, one move that I was seriously considering was the waiting move, queen to b5, and it looks really good, this particular move, as it looks as though, well, whatever black does is rook can't move now, it seems okay. So if he pushes his pawn, for example, then this would be a simple checkmate, a very nice looking checkmate. The same as well can be said of, let's say, king to d8. Well, here you can take this rook with a checkmate. The problem is now black has still got one move that stops the mate. He just moves his king over to f8. Very frustrating. And again, okay, this does lead to a mate in 3, but it's not going to be mate in 2. But I tried to combine those ideas, and I've managed to find then solution. The solution here is queen to d5. Very instructive. Okay, what's the big idea? Well, firstly, we should mention what happens after the rook takes here. Well, this loses now to the checkmate move, rook to g8 checkmate. So that loses immediately. What about pushing the pawn here? Well, if you push this pawn, then you've got queen checkmates on g8. So combining those two ideas of that sort of lawnmower background checkmate combined together. Okay, other things that don't work here. Well, let's say I move my rook over to here. This looks like it guards quite a lot of things. I can't. But here, there's many different ways you can checkmate. You can either checkmate over here, even this as well, all checkmate, because the black rook is not able to block any of those mating threats. So that leaves us now with those really frustrating checkmates, avoiders with the king. And this might annoy you, this particular move, because now this sort of idea doesn't work. The good news is with the queen being over here, we can now take kiss of death checkmate on d7, and if the king comes over here as well, you've got this checkmate solution as well. Okay, so a pretty nice, cute little composition there. I hope you were able to solve it. But in any case, thank you for watching this video. Apologies that some of my explanations might have been a bit longer today, but I wanted to make sure that you fully understood some of the puzzles in this particular episode. In any case, thank you for watching. Over the next few days, I'll keep trying to publish the puzzle of the day, and I'll also try and see if I can share some of my tournament games that I played very recently. In any case, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Take care, bye.